Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we are going to tackle a subject that honestly keeps a lot of us awake at night. It's something we dream about, something we stress about, and something we spend the vast majority of our waking hours working for. We are talking about money.
It is the universal language, isn't it?
It really is.
No matter where you go in the world, money or, the exchange of value, it's the underlying current of society.
It really is. And specifically, we're diving into a topic that usually comes with a lot of flashing lights and hype, how to become a millionaire. Now, before you roll your eyes or click away thinking this is just clickbait, I want to put a massive disclaimer right at the front door here. We are not selling a course. We are not telling you to buy a lottery ticket. Right. And we are definitely not going to tell you that you can get rich by, next Tuesday.
No, absolutely not. In fact, if you're looking for a magic trick or a hack or some kind of secret code, you are in the wrong place. We want to have a real conversation today. We want to strip away the fantasy, the movie version of wealth where someone just invents an app and buys an island, and look at the actual mechanics.
The nuts and bolts.
The boring, effective nuts and bolts of how wealth is actually built.
And there's another layer to this deep dive today that I'm really excited about. While we're exploring financial freedom, we're also doing it for a specific reason. As we said, money is a universal language, but talking about it in English is a fantastic way to practice your language skills.
That's a great point. Finance has its own vocabulary.
It really does.
We talk about assets, liabilities, compounding leverage, but we also talk about lifestyle, habits, future planning, and, these abstract concepts like freedom.
Exactly. So for everyone listening, this is kind of a two-for-one deal.
Yeah.
You get to upgrade your financial literacy, and you get to practice your English listening skills at the same time. We're going to articulate these ideas fully, speak clearly, and really try to unpack the nuance of these words. So let's get into the core thesis here. When we look at the reality of wealth, the main idea that jumps out is this. Wealth is not an accident.
No, it isn't. It doesn't just happen to you.
It doesn't fall out of the sky. But I have to ask, why does it feel that way? Why does becoming a millionaire feel so distant or, even impossible for the average person?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we look at wealthy people and think they must have just gotten lucky?
It feels distant because most people are looking for an event.
An event.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
waiting for that one specific day when the check arrives or the stock explodes or they win the prize. They view wealth as this singular moment in time. But the truth that wealthy people know is that wealth is a process.
A process.
It's a lifestyle. It's a series of long-term thoughts and habits that you execute every single day.
Okay, let's unpack this distinction between event and process, because I think I'm guilty of this.
We all are, to some extent.
When I think of being rich, I visualize the result. I visualize the fancy car, the nice house, the vacation in the Maldives. I don't visualize the 20 years of, saving that got me there.
Precisely. You're seeing the tip of the iceberg, you see the celebration, but you don't see the discipline.
Mm.
And because we only see the result, we try to skip the process, we gamble, we take high risks, we look for shortcuts. But if you focus on the process, the event becomes, it becomes inevitable.
Wow, that is a powerful idea. If you focus on the process, the event becomes inevitable. So let's look at the first barrier to this process. I think the biggest misconception people have is about their salary. We call this the income myth.
The income myth is pervasive. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the belief that if I just got a raise, if I just made more money, I would be rich.
I mean, it feels logical, doesn't it? If I make $50,000 a year and I'm struggling, then surely if I made $100,000 a year, all my problems would vanish.
Yeah.
I'd have double the money.
That is the logical assumption, but human psychology just doesn't work that way. Here's the hard truth. High income does not equal high net worth.
Say that again. That's important.
High income does not equal high net worth. You can earn $1 million a year, but if you spend $1 million a year, what are you?
Broke. You're a broke person with expensive toys.
Exactly. You're just a conduit. You're a pipe. The money flows in from your employer, and it flows right out to the car dealership, the landlord, the restaurants, the shops.
So you're not keeping any of it.
None of it. Your net worth is zero.
So it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep.
That is the golden rule. We need to talk about the gap.
The gap.
Wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. If there is no gap, there is no wealth. It doesn't matter if the income is huge.
Let's construct a scenario here to make this real for people. Let's imagine a character named Sarah. Sarah is a young professional. She gets a big promotion. Her salary goes up by, say, $20,000 a year.
Okay.
What typically happens to Sarah?
Well, in most cases, Sarah falls victim to lifestyle creep. This is a critical term for our listeners. Lifestyle creep.
It sounds like a horror movie villain.
It kind of is. It's the phenomenon where your spending rises to meet your income.
Ah,
So Sarah gets that $20,000 raise. She feels rich. So what does she do? She trades in her reliable Honda for a BMW.
right.
That's $500 a month gone. She moves from a perfectly fine apartment to a luxury condo downtown.
Mm-hmm.
That's another $1,000 a month. She starts buying the organic imported cheese instead of the regular cheese. She starts ordering delivery 4 times a week instead of cooking.
And before she knows it, that extra 20,000 is gone.
It's gone. And actually, she might be in a worse position
How so?
because now she has locked herself into higher fixed costs. She has to keep that high-paying job just to service her debt.
Oh, wow.
She has less freedom than when she was poorer.
That is terrifying. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. You're working harder, but you aren't moving forward.
Exactly. I like to use the analogy of the bucket. Imagine you're trying to fill a bucket with water. The water is your income,
Okay, I'm visualizing this.
but the bucket has a hole in the bottom. The hole represents your spending habits.
Right.
Most people think the solution is to get a bigger hose. They want to pour water in faster, get a raise, get a side hustle, win the lottery.
Pour more in.
But if you have a massive hole in the bottom, it doesn't matter how big the hose is, the bucket will never, ever fill up.
So step one isn't get a bigger hose, it's patch the hole.
Patch the hole. Fix the spending habits. Control the outflow. That is the foundation. Without that control, more money just leads to more expensive problems.
Okay, so let's say we've patched the hole. We understand that we need to live below our means. But there's another mental block here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people feel like, well, I wasn't born rich, so I can't be rich. They feel like the deck is stacked against them.
That is a very common limiting belief. And look, let's be honest. It is harder for some people than others. Starting with 0 is harder than starting with $1 million.
Of course. But the data shows that the vast majority of millionaires today are first generation.
Really?
Yes. They started with nothing. They didn't inherit a trust fund.
So if they didn't have money, what did they have? What was the seed?
They had a different mindset. And this is the shift we need to talk about. It's the shift from seeing money as something to consume to seeing money as a tool.
Okay, let's dive deep into this. Consumption versus growth. How does a regular person view a dollar bill versus how a wealthy-minded person views it?
Okay.
Let's say I hand you a crisp $100 bill right now.
Okay, let's look at that bill. The consumer mindset looks at that $100 and immediately translates it into goods. They ask, what can this buy me right now?
For right now.
They see a pair of sneakers, they see a nice dinner out, they see a new video game, they see the dollar as a means to an end, and that end is possession.
Yeah, it's a coupon. It's a ticket to get stuff.
Exactly. And once they trade the bill for the stuff, the bill is gone. It belongs to someone else now.
But the wealth mindset is completely different. They look at that same $100 bill and they don't see shoes. They see a seed.
A seed.
Yes. If you have a bag of corn seeds, you have a choice. You can boil them and eat them for dinner. They will taste good. You'll be full for a few hours, but then they are gone. Or you can plant them.
Right.
If you plant them, they grow into stalks. And those stalks produce hundreds of new seeds.
I really like this agricultural metaphor. It changes the perspective on spending. Every time I buy something frivolous, I'm essentially eating my seeds.
You are eating your future harvest. Another way to think about it, and I love this image, is to view money as an employee.
An employee. That's interesting.
Yes. Think of every dollar you have as a little worker, a little green worker.
Okay.
You can either fire them by spending them on something that loses value, or you can hire them to go out and work for you. Ideally, you want your dollars to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never getting sick, never taking a vacation.
Bringing more friends back home to you.
Bringing more friends back home, that's the return on investment.
But I have to be the devil's advocate here for a second. This mindset shift is really hard.
It is.
We live in a world that is constantly screaming at us to consume. Buy this, you'll be happy, you deserve this treat. Delayed gratification is painful.
It is incredibly difficult. We are biologically wired to want things now. Our brains love dopamine.
For sure.
But that ability to say, I am not going to buy this thing today so that I can have more freedom tomorrow, that is the defining characteristic of wealth builders. It's about maturity. It's about understanding that future you is a real person who needs to be taken care of.
Future you. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it. I treat future me pretty badly sometimes. I leave him with the dirty dishes and the empty bank account.
We all do. But wealth building is an act of empathy for your future self.
So let's assume we're shifting our mindset. We are patching the holes in the bucket. Now we have to talk about the timeline.
Yes, the timeline.
Because, again, everyone wants to be a millionaire in a year. Is that realistic?
For 99.9% of the population, no. And telling people it is realistic is dangerous.
That's dangerous.
That's how people get scammed. They sign up for crypto trading bot courses because they are desperate for speed.
Why? I said,
Real wealth building is slow. We're talking about years, not weeks.
this brings us to a concept called the boring middle. I feel like nobody talks about this part.
Although they don't.
Movies show the beginning, the struggle, and they show the end, the yacht. But they skip the middle.
The boring middle is where dreams go to die, unfortunately, because the start is exciting. You open the account, you make the spreadsheet, you feel responsible.
Right, you're motivated.
And the end is exciting. But the middle is just waiting. It's automatic transfers. It's checking your account and seeing it went up by 1%. It's not sexy.
It's quiet.
It is. It involves saving, investing, reinvesting, and doing it again and again and again. But patience is the secret ingredient.
You mentioned the snowball effect earlier in our pre-show discussion. For our listeners who might not be familiar with that metaphor in finance, can you explain how the math of a snowball works?
Sure. Imagine you're at the top of a very long, snowy hill.
Okay.
You pack a small snowball in your hand. It's the size of a baseball. That's your initial savings.
Right.
You push it down a hill. As it rolls, it picks up a little bit more snow. For the first few minutes, or in financial terms, the first few years, it still looks small. You might look at it and think, this isn't working. It's barely growing.
And that's when people quit. They think, I've been saving for 2 years and I only have $5,000. I might as well spend it on a vacation.
Exactly. That's the moment of truth. But if you let it keep rolling, the surface area gets bigger. It picks up more snow with every single revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the physics of compounding take over. The snowball becomes the size of a boulder, then the size of a car, then the size of a house. In the later years, the snowball grows more in one rotation than it did in the entire first year.
But you have to wait for the momentum.
You have to wait. That's compound interest. Your money grows slowly at first. But if you touch it, if you stop the snowball to check on it or take some chunks of snow out to buy a car, you kill the momentum.
You reset it.
You have to let it roll.
Let's put some numbers on this just to make it concrete. Let's say you start investing at age 25 versus age 35. Does 10 years really make that much of a difference?
It makes a massive difference. It's not just 10 more years of savings. It's 10 more years of doubling.
Of doubling.
Yes. If you invest a standard amount, say $500 a month, starting at 25, by the time you retire, you could have over $1 million. If you start at 35, to get to that same number, you don't just have to save a little more. You have to save double or triple the amount every month just to catch up.
Wow. Just to get to the same place.
Because you lost the years of the snowball rolling. You lost the easiest, most powerful years of growth.
So the variable isn't the money, it's the time.
Exactly. Time is more important than the amount of money.
That is a huge takeaway. If you are young and listening to this, start now. Even if it's $50, start now.
Absolutely. The sooner the better.
Okay. So we need patience. We need management. But eventually, we do have to talk about the income side again.
They do.
Because we said income isn't everything, but you can't save your way to millions if you're making minimum wage, right? Eventually, you need more fuel for the fire.
That's correct. While management is the foundation, income is the accelerant.
The accelerant. I like that.
You can have a perfect bucket with no holes, but if you are only dripping water in one drop at a time, it will take a lifetime to fill. You eventually need to earn more so you can invest more.
So how do we do that? The source material talks about high-value skills. This is a phrase we hear a lot in the business world.
It is the key. You don't just get more money. The market doesn't pay you because you need money.
Right.
The market pays you because you create value. You attract more money by becoming more valuable. The driver of income is skill.
Let's break down some specific examples of these skills. What counts as a high-value skill? Is it just, learning to code?
Coding is certainly one, but let's go broader. Problem solving is at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it this way. The bigger the problem you can solve, the more you will get paid. If you can solve a problem for a dozen people, you make a little money. If you can solve a problem for a massive company or for thousands of people, you make significant money.
So a janitor solves a hygiene problem for one building.
Uh,
A CEO solves a strategic problem for the entire organization.
exactly. And the pay scale reflects the scale of the problem. Another massive skill is communication.
Oh, this is a big one. I think people underestimate this.
Hugely. You might have the best idea in the world or the best technical solution, but if you cannot explain it, if you cannot persuade people, if you cannot sell it, it has no value.
It's locked in your head.
Communication bridges the gap between your brain and the world.
I think this is a huge one for our listeners to focus on. Learning English, for example, is a high-value skill. It opens up communication with a global market.
Absolutely. Think about the leverage. If you speak only your native language, your market is limited to that country. If you speak English, you can work for international companies. You can sell products globally. You can consume information from all over the world.
Right.
You have expanded your pool of opportunity exponentially.
So the advice here isn't just work harder, it's learn more.
It's work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's a famous quote.
I like that.
If you work hard on your job, you make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you make a fortune.
And that connects skills to opportunities. The more you know, the more doors open. It's an upward spiral.
It is. But, and there is always a but, all the skills in the world won't help you if you lack the next component.
Okay.
You can make $1 million, but if you can't say no, you will lose it all.
We are talking about discipline. The discipline of no.
Yes. We live in a distracted world, a world designed by very, very smart people to separate you from your money and your time.
It's terrifyingly easy to spend money now. I mean, think about one-click purchasing on Amazon. You don't even have to stand up. You don't even have to find your wallet.
Nope.
You just tap a piece of glass, and money leaves your life.
You don't even have to think. The friction is gone. And that's why discipline is the superpower of the 21st century. It's not just about money, it's about focus.
So what are we specifically saying no to?
We are saying no to the now. We are saying no to the impulse. We are saying, I want this new phone, but I want financial freedom more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also discipline in learning. It's saying no to Netflix so you can study that high-value skill. It's saying no to scrolling social media so you can focus on your side project.
It's easy to spend. It's hard to invest. Spending is fun.
That's the core struggle. Spending gives you a dopamine hit. You buy the shoes, you feel good for about 20 minutes.
Right.
Investing feels like losing money. Think about it. You take your hard-earned cash and you send it away into an account you can't touch. You see the number go down in your checking account.
It feels like a loss.
It feels like a loss today, but it's a gain for your future self.
And it requires that mental fortitude to understand that. You have
Yeah.
to value your future self as much as your present self.
We do.
So let's talk about where we are putting this money. We've mentioned investing a few times, but why can't I just save it? My grandmother used to hide cash in her mattress.
Yeah.
Why can't I just put it in a savings account?
Because of the silent thief, inflation.
Ah, the silent thief. Can we explain this concept simply? Because we hear about inflation on the news. Inflation is up 3%. But what's that actually mean for my money?
It means your money is rotting.
Rotting. That's a strong word.
It is. Imagine you put $100 in a box today. That $100 can buy, let's say, 20 cups of coffee.
Okay.
You leave it in the box for 10 years. You open the box. The $100 is still there. But now, because prices have gone up, that $100 can only buy 10 cups of coffee.
Right.
You haven't lost money, but you have lost purchasing power.
So if you just save, you are actually going backward. You are becoming poorer every day.
Exactly. Money must grow to keep up with and beat inflation. If inflation is 3% and your money isn't growing by at least 3%, you are losing the game.
So we need vehicles for that
Yeah.
growth. The source material mentions real estate, stocks, businesses.
Those are the big three. There are others, of course, but those are the proven paths.
But here is the elephant in the room. I can feel the listeners tensing up. Fear. People are terrified of the stock market. They hear market crash and they freeze. They think of 2008. They think of losing everything.
That fear is natural, but it is usually rooted in a lack of education. We fear what we don't understand.
So how do we overcome that fear? Because don't be afraid isn't really helpful advice.
No, it's not. You overcome fear with knowledge and small steps. You don't just jump into the deep end of the pool if you don't know how to swim.
Right.
You learn to swim first. You start small. You educate yourself on what you are actually buying.
Right. When you buy a stock, you aren't buying a lottery ticket. You are buying a piece of a company.
Exactly. If you buy a share of Apple, you own a tiny piece of Apple. As long as people keep buying iPhones, that company has value.
And what if you're afraid of picking the wrong company?
You buy all the companies.
What do you mean?
You buy an index fund. That's like buying a basket with every single egg in the market.
Okay.
So even if one egg breaks, you still have the rest of the basket.
That makes it feel much less like gambling.
It takes the gambling out of it for the most part.
But what about mistakes? What if I invest and the market goes down next month?
It might. In fact, it probably will at some point, but you have to reframe mistakes. They aren't failures. They are tuition fees.
Tuition fees.
You are paying to learn a lesson. If you lose $100 because you made a bad choice, you just paid $100 for a lesson in what not to do. If you are paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake, you will never grow. The biggest risk is taking no risk at all.
Tuition fees for the school of life. I like that. It takes the sting out of failure.
It's the only way to learn.
Moving on, I want to talk about consistency. Because we see the highlight reels of successful people, and it looks like one big break, one lucky deal, one viral video.
The big break myth. It makes for a great movie, doesn't it? The musician gets discovered on the street corner, the investor bets it all on one stock and wins.
Right, it's dramatic.
It's dramatic, but it is a terrible strategy for life.
It's not one giant leap.
No, it is thousands of tiny steps. It is small actions repeated until they become automatic.
Give us some examples of these small actions. What does this look like on a boring Tuesday morning?
It looks like having an automatic transfer set up so that $50 goes into your investment account every time you get paid without you even seeing it.
Okay.
It looks like reading 10 pages of a book about finance before bed instead of scrolling TikTok. It looks like learning one new English vocabulary word every day.
These sound insignificant. Honestly, reading 10 pages doesn't feel like it's changing my life.
That is the trap. They look insignificant today. If you read 10 pages, you aren't smarter tomorrow.
Right.
If you save $50, you aren't rich tomorrow. If you go to the gym for 20 minutes, you don't have six-pack abs tomorrow. But over 10 years, that difference is massive. It is the difference between success and failure.
And that's where people fail, isn't it?
Yeah.
They stop because they don't see the result immediately.
We return to the snowball. They stop pushing before the momentum takes over.
Right.
They quit the gym after 2 weeks because they still look the same. They stop saving after 3 months because they aren't rich yet.
Now, there is something that makes this patience even harder, and that is our phones. Social media.
Ah, yes. The comparison trap. This is a massive destroyer of wealth.
We scroll through Instagram or TikTok, and we see 20-year-olds with Lamborghinis, stacks of cash, private jets. We see influencers living these perfect lives. And it feels like everyone is getting rich except us.
You have to understand that loud wealth is often fake wealth, or at least highly leveraged wealth.
What do you mean by leveraged?
I mean debt. Someone can lease a Lamborghini for a weekend. They can rent an Airbnb mansion for a video shoot. They can buy fake watches. Just because someone looks rich on camera doesn't mean they have net worth. In fact, many people who flaunt wealth are drowning in debt to maintain that image.
So real wealth is quiet.
Real wealth is usually very quiet. It's the person driving a 4-year-old Toyota who has a fully funded retirement account and owns their home.
Right.
Real wealth is boring to watch. It's just compounded numbers on a screen. It doesn't look good on Instagram.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
It really is. And it's dangerous financially. If you try to keep up with the fast success stories you see online, you might take dangerous risks. You might gamble on a risky crypto coin or a bad business deal because you feel like you were behind and you need to catch up.
Slow and steady wins the race.
It's a cliche because it's true. The tortoise beats the hare every time in investing.
I want to address a worry some people might have listening to this. We've been talking a lot about discipline, cutting spending, saving. Some people might be thinking, okay, so I have to save every penny. I can never buy coffee. I can never go on vacation. I have to eat rice and beans for 20 years. That sounds miserable.
That is a valid concern. We are not advocating for a life of misery. It's not about total sacrifice. It's about intentionality.
What's the difference?
Intentionality means you choose what matters to you. If you love travel, if travel brings you deep joy, then spend money on travel.
Okay.
Budget for it. Enjoy it. But then cut back mercilessly on the things you don't care about.
For example?
Maybe you don't care about having a brand new car. Great, drive a used one. Maybe you don't care about designer clothes. Great, buy generic.
So you can't have everything, but you can have anything you really want if you plan for it.
Exactly. Most people just spend mindlessly on everything. They buy the coffee and the car and the clothes and the subscription services, and then they wonder where the money went. Intentionality is distinguishing between short-term pleasure that you forget in an hour and long-term freedom.
You pick your spots.
Yeah.
You design your life. You aren't just reacting to impulses.
Yes, exactly.
We also touched on security briefly. I think the last few years have taught us that jobs aren't always safe.
Hmm.
Relying on one salary is risky.
Incredibly risky. If you have one job, you are one bad meeting away from zero income. You are one corporate restructuring away from disaster.
That's a scary thought.
It is. That's why we talk about multiple streams of income. Doesn't mean you need 5 full-time jobs. That's impossible.
Right.
But maybe you have your main job plus some dividend stocks paying you quarterly. Maybe you have a small side hustle selling a skill. Maybe you rent out a room.
It creates a safety net. If one stream dries up, you still have water flowing.
Exactly. It creates resilience.
Yeah.
Because life happens, cars break, you get sick, economies crash. You will get knocked down. Wealth building isn't a straight lineup. It's messy. Resilience is simply the ability to get back on the path after you stumble.
I love that. So we've covered how the mindset, the habits, the investing, the skills. Let's finish with the why, the ultimate so what. Why aim for $1 million? Is it just to swim in a pool of gold coins like a cartoon character?
No. Swimming in coins would be very painful.
Probably.
It's not about the zeros in the account. It's about one word: options.
Options.
Wealth buys you the ability to say no. Think about this. If you have financial security, if you have a year of expenses saved up, and your boss is toxic or abusive, what can you do?
You can quit. You can walk away.
You have the option. But if you live paycheck to paycheck, you have to stay. You have to take the abuse. Wealth gives you ownership of your time. If a family member gets sick and needs help, you can help them. You have the option to support them.
It's about freedom. It's about autonomy.
Financial security is the ability to make choices without fear. It's waking up in the morning and knowing that you own your day.
We often hear the phrase, money doesn't buy happiness.
It doesn't. You can be rich and miserable. We see that all the time. But let's be honest. Financial stress creates misery.
That's true.
Financial stress destroys marriages. It ruins health. Money removes the anxiety of survival so you can focus on higher things like family, creativity, purpose.
The goal is stability and freedom.
Precisely.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. We have covered a lot of ground today. Let's try to summarize this journey for our listeners.
Sure. To recap, wealth is a lifestyle, not an event. It starts with the mindset of a producer, not a consumer. It requires the discipline to spend less than you earn. That's the gap. It requires the patience to let time and compounding work for you through the boring middle. And it requires the continuous growth of your own skills to increase your value in the market.
And my favorite part, you don't need to know everything today. You don't need to be an expert to start.
No, just start. Start small, read one page, save $1. Start thinking long-term.
Wealth is built in the small decisions made consistently.
That is the takeaway.
We hope this conversation helped you think about your financial future.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned at the start, we hope it gave you some great English listening practice today. We used a lot of specific vocabulary assets, liabilities, compounding, lifestyle creep, intentionality.
I would encourage you to re-listen to sections of this deep dive. Listen to how we phrase the arguments. Practice the vocabulary of finance and growth. Being able to talk about money in English is a high-value skill.
Absolutely. Now, if you enjoyed this deep dive and want to support us in making more of these, we have a small request.
It takes a lot of work to put these together, and we want to reach as many learners as possible.
So please hit the like button on this video. It really helps the algorithm find other people like you. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss our next conversation.
We are building a library of these deep dives, and we want you with us for the next one.
Thanks for listening. Keep investing in yourself. And until next time.
Keep learning and keep growing.
See you soon.